I was having a conversation with this woman on one of my conference calls, and she said to me, Angel, my son's black and Puerto Rican. So I stopped her and I said, Black and Puerto Rican. Oh, so your son's a black Puerto Rican. She said, no, he's black and Puerto Rican. I said, I don't get it. What do you mean he's black and Puerto Rican? Because you gave me a race, black, which is not a correct term for race, but it's acceptable. And then you gave me a nationality, Puerto Rican. I don't understand what color this kid is or what this kid looks like because you said he's black and he's Puerto Rican. So is he a black Puerto Rican? Like, I don't get it. And she was like, well, I'm black, his dad's Puerto Rican. I was like, oh, right, okay. So, but what race is his dad? Because I'm trying to ascertain because you gave me a nationality. And she says, Puerto Rican. I said, no, that's a nationality. That doesn't define like what your color is. The same way you said you're black, but I don't know where you're from. I don't know if you're African American. I don't know if you're Dominican, Cuban, Puerto Rican. She's like, I'm African American. I said, okay. So what race is the father of your child? She was like, he's Hispanic. I said, no, he's not Hispanic. Because Hispanic's not a race. I said, what's his race? She's like, Latino. It's like, nope. Latino, Hispanic are not races. These are cultures and heritage. They're not races. So she got really confused on it. I tried to explain to her that being a Puerto Rican doesn't make you mean that your race is Hispanic because he could still be black. It's just the difference between race and nationality, and people don't understand these differences. So I started trying to break it down for her. And I said, look, at the end of the day, I broke down, the mix that most Puerto Ricans have, which is African, Taino, indigenous, Indian, and, Spaniard blood, which to me, some people disagree, but to me, that makes you black, all right? But then again, when she said, my son is black and Puerto Rican, to me, that's essentially the same thing. Oh, he's black, okay. I never really heard a white person say, I'm half white and half Swiss. Isn't that the same thing? So you're white. Okay. So are you a white person who's Swiss? No, I'm part white and I'm part Swiss. Because what nationality is white? White is not a nationality, right? Let's look at landmass. So if you talk about landmass, it's like if I say to you, I'm bringing my Japanese friend, you pretty much know what the type of person I'm going to bring. You can pretty much guess what they're going to look like. If I say I'm bringing somebody from India, you can guess what they're going to look like. So I can just say my Indian friend, my Chinese friend, my Japanese friend. I can say the nationality and you know who I'm going to bring because they haven't had that whole slavery issue like the Caribbean has and black people have had in America, and South America. They haven't had that on that level where you no longer know what certain people look like. If I say I'm bringing my Nigerian friend or my Ghanaian friend, I can pretty much guess who I'm going to bring, right? So why is there such a huge problem and a disconnect and a lack of understanding between nationality, race, ethnicity, and culture? So you get a lot of black people that turn around who are American and say, oh, I'm African American. Because somewhere along the line, they feel that by claiming they're African American automatically lets you know what their race is. But African American, isn't that essentially just nationalities? What race is African? It's the assumption that anyone who is from Africa is black, or if you're African American, automatically you're black. That's the assumption. When you get these black people that see people who are Jamaican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, Sudanese, who are black, they go, oh, I thought you were African American because you're black. No, I mean, all these people descend from Africa. That's why they're black, but they're not African American. So when black people in America talk about the African American struggle, the African American this, the African American that, that's not unity, right? Because there are more people in America who are black who are not African American, as in they're from a different country originally. Let's look at the reason why they call you African American. The reason they call you African American is because you are children of slavery. You don't know what part of Africa you actually come from. You don't know that. So they've said, you know what, since all the slave masters obliterated all the records, we're just going to basically call them African American because that's a nicer thing to say than calling them black, and because, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they don't call white people who move to America from Europe, like Italy, Spain, Ireland, France, they don't call them European Americans. I've never heard a white person say, I'm European American. They don't do that, right? Firstly, we understand that's because most Europeans who move to America or end up in America have some sort of idea of where they're from. The majority of white Americans descend from the Brits. The rest will come from Ireland, Russia, Spain, whatever. So they can say, I'm a Spanish American, I'm an Italian American. They can do that. They don't say they're European American because there is no actual group of people, one group of people from an entire continent that says they're a race, okay? Now, what if you are a black person who happens to have all of your family from France, and as far back as you can go, everybody's from France? Yeah, you may originate from Africa, originally as your homeland. You're not debating that. But when you move to America, does that automatically make you African American? Well, hold up, you were born in Paris. Your grandfather was born in Paris. Great grandparents were born in Paris. Aren't you a French American? So when you get somebody who's Haitian, Jamaican, Puerto Rican, and they move to the United States, if they're black, yes, they're going to be black, but they're also going to associate because it's a nationality. Haitian American, Dominican American, Puerto Rican American. Somebody brought up Barack Obama. Barack Obama does not call himself African American, he calls himself Kenyan American. He can do that. Why? Because he knows what part of Africa his father was from. He doesn't need to call himself African American. It's obvious he's black. It's obvious he's biracial, but it's obvious he's black. He doesn't need to say, I'm African American, just so you know that I'm black. No. You can tell he's black, and he's letting you know that he descends from Kenya. Half of the people that call themselves African American, yes, you're African American. Your nationality descends from Africa. But what if you're originally from Ghana? Really, you're a Ghanaian American. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? There is a bigger picture than this, and the bigger picture than this is about unity within the community. When you talk about unity within the community, a lot of Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, etc., the reason they don't want to be labeled as black is when you say black, they automatically think African American. And I've said to my family who are my Puerto Rican side of my family, you're black. No, Angel, we're not black. We're Puerto Rican. We're not African American. But I didn't say you're African American. I said you're Puerto Rican, but you're black. Okay? So when you talk about, oh, African Americans got to do this, got to do that. No, it's about black people as a whole. Why do you think it's called the African diaspora? Why do you think that? There's a reason. One group of people that was taken from their homeland, spread out across the Caribbean, South America, and North America. None of us know where we're truly from unless our parents have been directly born, some in a country in Africa recently. Majority of us don't know where exactly we're traveled from unless we've done the research. So yeah, you can call yourself African American based on the fact that you don't know. I get it. I respect that. I can't necessarily say that I'm this or I'm from that. So I could do the same thing. But I'm not going to then lessen somebody else who's black, who's Jamaican, and say, you're not black, you're Jamaican. You're not black, you're Puerto Rican. All right? Learn the difference between nationalities. Do you know there's only 3 races in the world? Negroid, Mongoloid, Caucasoid, and then variations thereof, i.e. hybrids. There is a bigger picture. Let's look at the United States Census. The United States Census has it listed as, I believe, Caucasian, African American, Asian, other, Hispanic, right? This is the government that we're supposed to listen to, who teach our children and can't even get the definitions of race correct. You've mixed Caucasian. You've got Caucasian in that list. That's race. Then you've mixed African American. That's not race. That's a nationality, but it's the assumption that anyone who's African American is black. Then you've got Asian. Asian is not a race. Asian is not a race, just so you know. And then you've got other. So this is the government. Now let's look. So African American, to be African American, you've got what? You got to be black and be born in America, or be black and move to America and accept American, citizenship, et cetera, et cetera. So that happens if you're a Jamaican and you move to the United States, you can be classed as African American in those particular Caribbean countries that are classified as black. Okay. Then you've got Hispanic. It's not a race. It's also not a nationality. So how the hell are you going to put a Cuban in there, a Puerto Rican and a Dominican in it to identify by race? This doesn't correctly identify race. There's no logic for that, because you've got black Puerto Ricans, you've got black Dominicans, you've got black Cubans, black Brazilians. That's not race. These are nationalities. So what if you are classified as an African American, but you have Hispanic culture? Now let's go to white, where it says Caucasian. It says to be classified as Caucasian, you have to come from one of the original European countries, i.e., Europe, North Africa, or Middle East. I've been to Egypt. I ain't never seen no white person in Egypt. Okay? I've never seen no white Saudi Arabian. I've never seen no white Moroccan or no white Algerian. They're from Africa. The original people in North Africa are black, right? The Moors, where did they come from? You know, the Berbers, they're black. Okay, they've been mixed because the Arab conquest, and I'm not gonna upset their feelings, but you're black. But how were they classified as white? Egyptians, Moroccans, Algerians, please tell me, are you white? Because that's what the United States Census is classifying you as. But I know why they're classifying you as white. Do you know why? Because you people don't care about race. When you ask somebody who's Moroccan, Tunisian, Libyan, Egyptian, Sudanese, what are you? They will tell you their religion. So they might say, I'm Muslim. Then you go, okay, no, bro, that's your religion. What are you? Then they're going to tell you, I'm Arab. That's not your nationality. That's not your race. That's your culture, because you now speak that language. You've adopted that culture. What are you? Then they say their nationality. Egyptian, Sudanese, Libyan, whatever they say. Okay, but what is your race? This is why the American census is flawed, but they do it on purpose. And you know why they do it on purpose? Because they want to make the charts look off. So really, the Caucasian chart is like this. But you add these Middle Easterns, you add these North Africans, it looks like there's a huge number of white people versus a small number of African Americans, black, right? Versus a small number of Hispanics, right? And then Asians and other. But Hispanics, who are not a race, it's not even a nationality, it's a culture. The majority of them are black, could go into the African American side, okay, and increase the numbers. So then you take out those North Africans and you stick them in the correct category. We're no longer the minority. We're the majority. You see why they do this? They want you to be confused about nationality versus race versus culture. They want you to be confused. Nationality is the country that you're from or the country that you reside. Nationality means nothing, because if you get up today and you decide to move to France, you're no longer American. If you apply for citizenship, you become French. Nationality is interchangeable. Culture, you can be adopted into culture. If you marry somebody and you would then become adopted into Jamaican culture, because it's just a culture. You can take on a culture. Race, differentiating characteristics and features, lips, hair, skin tone, right? The differentiations between race, nationality, and culture. Peace, love, and coconut oil.
Hey man, that's racist. Please remember that from now on, brand new never before seen videos, as well as live streams, will only be available on my website, ikyg.com, via a Patreon subscription. ikyg.com is a Black-owned, Black-ran platform, 100% free from censorship. It's the only place where we don't have to worry about what we say and expressing ourselves. Make sure you check out the description and the comment section for important links, as well as information in video form that shows you what benefits you get when you support the site and join my Patreon. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, then don't forget to subscribe and be notified every time I upload a video. For exclusive content and perks, check out my Patreon. This is where we have private live streams, group chats, live Q&As, live phone calls, and open topics. This is a safe space where you can interact with other like-minded people, make friends, send each other direct private messages, and so much more without any trolls. And yes, you get to use GIFs and images in the live chats. So what are you waiting for? This is a completely independent website, free from censorship. If you'd like to make a donation towards the site so we can continue to put out the truth without fear of being silenced, then please hit that donation button. It's greatly appreciated. Check out the rest of the site for videos, private and public live streams, find out all the tea, and make sure to utilize the Black Money section of the website. Advertise your business absolutely free to people that look like you, free forever. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at angel_IKYG.